There's a lot of people who are going to regret that they passed. Tyrese is going to have a great run. Proud of him.
Tyrese Kendrick Maxey, born November 4th, 2000. Today's feature is one you'd love to see from your first-round draft pick. Improvement every season, and by his latest, looks like there's even more room to grow. Within 3 seasons, currently in his 4th, Tyrese Maxey went from averaging 8 points a game, 2 assists, 30% from 3, and 15 minutes, to 3 years later, 25 points, 7 assists, 40% from 3, and 36 minutes per game, about to make his first All-Star, all at barely 23 years old. Tyrese Maxey was always good enough, but for some reason an afterthought, both leaving high school and entering the NBA draft among his peers like Cole Anthony or RJ Hampton leaving high school, then LaMelo Ball, Killian Hayes, Tyrese Halliburton, again Cole Anthony, and even Kira Lewis were taken ahead of him in the 2020 draft. Yet, he's the only that has played at least 60 games each season, and along with Halliburton, shooting at least 40% from 3 for his career. He's also the only of those to play in a playoff game thus far, averaging over 20 points per game in his last 2 appearances. So far this season, he scored under 20 points just 5 times in 24 games and had his first 50-point game November 12th against Indiana and former Growth Spurt feature, his Tyrese brother Halliburton. There's much to like about Tyrese Maxey, but I think what I like the most about his game is he's always had all the important tools or the potential to develop the tools a guard needs in today's NBA. Some you can and can't teach. He's always had elite speed and quickness, footwork to complete all the new era moves off the bounce or slashing to the rim, court vision, and ability to lead a team and run their offense at a high level, a mean floater, and the confidence to work on what scouts said would be his weaknesses on the NBA level. Things like consistency, lacked point guard instincts, a below-the-rim athlete, poor decision maker, and struggled shooting the 3, even with a fundamental shooting form, resulting in a somewhat underachieving lone season at Kentucky. And you know what? They weren't far off in that assessment, which is even why you have a feature on Tyrese Maxey today. He didn't come into the league as some top 10 pick with great expectations, and a roster cleared out for him to have a great start to his career. He worked and stayed enthusiastic on a team with 3 total former All-Stars, 1 at his position, to his 2nd year, and thereafter another ball-dominant future Hall of Famer playing again his exact position in James Harden. Not to mention franchise center Joel Embiid developing into the MVP of the league and garnering all the shot attempts he pleases. For a player like Tyrese Maxey to come in as the 21st overall pick, to looking like one of the best players in the league through all that, he's definitely hit a growth spurt, and in my opinion, for these reasons. Let's talk about it. Salute to Florida's _finest05 for this request. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Tyrese Maxey is a 6'2" point guard shooting guard from Dallas, Texas, who grew up with Dwayne Wade as his #1 inspiration on the basketball court. His father saw the potential in his son early on and instilled fundamentals from some of the best guards in the league in Kyrie Irving and Steph Curry. It led to a high school player's dream career at South Garland. He averaged over 20 points a game since his sophomore year, where he started getting major comparisons to Kyrie Irving, leading to an all-everything junior year. After the year, he had the opportunity to reclassify and enter college early, but made a great decision to allow himself to develop under his natural high school term. He became Texas Mr. Basketball and a McDonald's All-American his senior year, leaving a top 10 player in the nation and top 3 combo guard heading to Kentucky. Growth Spurt number 1, putting in the work as a shooter. As I'll continue preaching to young players out there, especially guards, the most important tool you can have is being a great shooter. One that's always a step ahead of your peers in that department. That should be one of your focuses when you're working on your game. Shooting will never not be coveted for as long as the game of basketball is around. It doesn't matter how fast you are, how strong you are, even how high you jump and hard you slam. If you have a deadly shot from behind the arc, a pull-up game from the mid-range, along with a sweet and soft floater in the lane, you can always have a job as a basketball player, and depending how hard you work, become one of the best guards at the highest level. If it's anything guys like Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, and Kyrie Irving have shown, is your shooting opens up the entire floor for you to work because it keeps defenses threatened by more than just your ability to blow by him or jump over him. Attributes that have been proven to fade over time due to age and wear and tear or major injuries. Tyrese Maxey was never the highest leaper, and even though he is fast and quick, he didn't settle on having those tools as a feature. He worked from a 29% shooter in college, 30% his first year in the NBA, to back-to-back seasons shooting well over 40% from deep, and in the 23-24 season with a lot more workload, shooting pretty much 40% once again in 24 games. He played on a Kentucky team with 4 future NBA players, 2 of them playing guard positions in Higgins and Quickly, thus had to fight for opportunity, and it led to a successful season individually where he was ready to leave after 1 year, but not ready to shoot at a high level. A huge reason he fell to the 21st pick in the draft. Early on in the NBA behind Ben Simmons and then James Harden, he was seen as a Lou Williams type of guy who could bring energy and a burst of scoring off the bench, but never did it seem he'd grow into one of the best players in the league until he became a better shooter. Growth spurt number 2, staying ready and a great attitude. 2 of the most underrated attributes that should be seen as skill sets how important they are in basketball. One thing I've always noticed about Maxey was on every level he seemed to get along with the other great players and always seemed to appreciate the fact he was one of the guys. Always smiling and enthusiastic, open to learning from Ben Simmons and especially James Harden, even when Harden came to the team after him and looked to be the franchise lead guard of the future. In those times, Maxey and Harden were the best of friends. You look at Jordan Poole right now for the Wizards, and it looks like none of the Warriors culture they speak about or the tutelage of Steph Curry has rubbed off on him at all, as he's struggling to lead a franchise, and even though playing adequate enough, won't be an All-Star this season like expected, and as soon as Washington can get their hands on a better option, he'll be out of there and on the move again. Speaking of James Harden, he dealt with the same obstacle of staying ready early on as well when he had to sit behind 2 future MVPs in OKC before his opportunity to lead a team opened up in Houston and became one himself along with one of the best 2 guards in history. Maxey is a ways away from being that, but this season he has shown he could be well on his way. With some consistency going forward, the same can happen, but with a much better player in Embiid and on a conference contending team in need of a star from the guard position and big game player who isn't afraid of the bright lights. Maxey not only stayed ready, but improved over the years across the board, even averages just 1.3 turnovers a game and 1.1 for his career, meaning he rarely makes costly mistakes and has a high enough IQ the Sixers can be confident he's their guy at point going forward. Growth spurt number 3, James Harden leaving. And for the biggest growth spurt of all, Maxey having the opportunity to do what he's doing without a guy like James Harden on the roster. As great as James is, it had nothing to do with Tyrese Maxey outside the Sixers being better or worse with him. As an individual, Maxey now has the room to step into the same role as James for the first time without having to look over his shoulders nervous about another player taking his opportunity. His minutes are up, his field goal attempts are way up, 3-point attempts up, assists and points per game are up, and it's all because his usage rate is up from 23.7 last year to 27 this year, giving him what any talented player would love to have, opportunity. It's what separates any player from just being one of the guys to an NBA All-Star. You look at a guy like Josh Christopher, who I think could be a great NBA player that's currently in the G League because opportunity is just not there for his game style at the moment. In a different era where players had their own teams instead of having to find their way on ones with other great players, Christopher could find his way. Today, all he lacks is a real shot. Maxey benefited from that the day James Harden left, and opened up much more minutes, shots, and space to prove himself. All in all, Tyrese Maxey is doing a great job all around. You love to see it because again, he's a guy with such a great attitude and clearly a student of the game first. He obviously puts in the work and a great testament to young hoopers how to stay mentally in the game even when doubted over and over. Hopefully he continues down this path. Salute, much respect. For these reasons, I think Tyrese Maxey has hit an insane growth spurt. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.